Hey there, nature lovers. It is Jackie from Eco Endeavor, and I have something strange going on with my rhubarb that I want to share with you today because this plant is like getting freaky, and I have to show you what's going on. So my rhubarb is actually only 2 years old, but I did get it from a neighbor that divided his plant. So I don't know how old that plant was to begin with, but I got a big division from him, and then I continued to divide that plant and I planted it in a few spots around the garden. So the main chunk of it ended up here, a big part of the crown. Now there's flowers happening on my rhubarb, which, you know, the internet tells me you're supposed to cut off because the plant will put energy into producing the flower instead of producing the stalks. But I'm gonna ignore that advice because I don't care to harvest this one. I just want it to grow and to provide shade for my pear tree right here and to just exist, okay? Just to add beauty and texture to the garden. So I'm gonna let these flower because they're pretty cool flowers as well. But if your rhubarb starts to flower, which is a sign of bolting, and you want to be able to harvest those stalks, then you should cut off your flowers because, again, it'll put more energy into the flower than into the stalks. But I'm not gonna do that because I wanna let this thing just be, okay? Just be. But what I really want to show you is actually its roots. So take a look at this. So I actually noticed this in the spring that its root had started to grow, like not in the ground, but on top of the ground. And like I have really rocky soil, so it could be that. So that could be the reason why, is that it hasn't been able to grow deep, that it's growing this way. But like, look at how big that root is. And like, this isn't a good sign either when the roots are growing on top of each other, because they're kind of like starting to strangle each other here. And it grows out, like this is my pear right here. I do for grilled tree planting, companion planting, permaculture style in my food forest. So everything is planted very, very densely, but I am a little worried that they are perhaps fighting for nutrients here. So that could be a sign of why my rhubarb is flowering, is because it is in distress. But I mean, it looks pretty happy. It's just the roots here are getting pretty close to my pear. Usually the rhubarb roots will grow down and not necessarily out like this. But yeah, I don't know guys. Oh, there's a little bug. It's wild. I've never seen a rhubarb with this big of root chunk. Like that is a massive root. So I will divide this in the spring because that is another way to keep your rhubarb really healthy, is to just keep dividing it. After, 4 or 5 years, it will need to be divided to be healthy. But for this year, it's already too late to divide. So I'm gonna let it flower. Like there's lots of stalks I could be eating from here still. But in general, I just wanna let plants be plants. So I'm not gonna cut it. I'm just gonna let it live its little life, see what it wants to do. And they're pretty cool looking. Like, look. It looks like a weird like cauliflower almost. They're quite pretty. But yeah, I'm just gonna let her get her freak on. Just let her be, because she's, like, again, already pretty big. I could definitely harvest some if I wanted to. Maybe I will. I actually saw a rhubarb like goat cheese pizza on my feed that I saved, and now I'm getting all of these rhubarb like recipes because the algorithm that stalks us and just sends us anything we like and just multiplies it by 1,000. So I have tons of rhubarb recipes popping up in my feed right now. That's basically all I wanted to show you today, was my freaky little my freaky giant rhubarb and how I'm going to deal with that in the spring. So I will divide this one and we'll try to get that crown a little bit smaller. I do have rhubarb in like several spots in this little food forest here, and then a couple other ones closer to the road that I'm starting. If your rhubarb is flowering, don't be alarmed. It's just a natural part of being a rhubarb, being a plant, is that they bolt sometimes. You do want to make sure that you are checking to see, is it distressed? Mine might be, just because the roots have been growing above ground instead of really sinking down. So I could have planted it really in a rocky spot in my garden. So it's possible that it is a little distressed, but in general, like, it looks pretty happy. So I'm just gonna leave it for now. I'll divide it in the spring. I'm gonna let those flowers be flowers, and I'll keep an eye on it and see what those roots happen. And in the spring,
when I divide it, I'll make sure those roots aren't choking out this beautiful pear here, because this pear is already struggling with some mite issues, so we don't want to stress the pear out anymore either. But let me know if you have had flowering rhubarb before. Do you cut the flowers off? Do you just let it flower? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've had a giant root like this, please share, because I feel like I have never seen a root on rhubarb this big. And like, my grandma grows rhubarb, my mom grows rhubarb. I've seen a lot of rhubarb plants in my days, and I've never seen a root like that. So yeah, let me know in the comments below if you have a giant root on your rhubarb and what you're doing with it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.